So if there's one show I wanted to cover this Paris Fashion Week, it would be Pierpaolo Piccioli's debut at Balenciaga. Obviously, we already covered what Demna did for Gucci with La Famiglia. Not a full runway show, but a collection. Obviously, a good positive response on that. I think almost equal eyes on what Pierpaolo is going to do with Balenciaga. You know, Balenciaga fans are feeling a little bit like maybe the look that Demna's established is going to kind of die off. Pierpaolo in the past has been more of like a couturier. I'd say he's more in the women's space with like what he did with Valentino. Obviously he designed for men, and he's not unfamiliar with like some punk rock aesthetic, but like he's known more for like flowy silhouettes and gowns and things like that, and not so much the ironic fashion that Demna has been doing. So I think it's gonna be really interesting, hopefully, to see what he does with Balenciaga. I personally feel like it is going to be a bit of a departure, but if it's not, if he does embrace what Demna's done, I think it's going to be really interesting. I will say he made one comment prior to this show saying, like, I have to honor what came before, which you could take as a hint of, you know, him embracing what Demna's done. As of right now, we are still waiting for the show to start. So obviously nothing's been revealed yet. I will be able to do hopefully a little bit of like a live kind of commentary or critique on it. I kind of prefer to do that anyway because, you know, my take can be a little unfiltered. I find if someone's already commented on something, it can be tough for me to like have an unfiltered opinion. Like if I see someone say like, this collection sucked, then I kind of got in the back of my head like, it did kind of suck, didn't it? At the same time, I reserve my right to change my mind later on. I was kind of like down on what Jonathan Anderson did with Dior, and then like over time I was like, actually, I kind of like it. I think it's kind of iconic. Maybe I'll talk about that at a later date. But so still waiting for the show to start, but we will see how it goes. But before we get into it, please do subscribe to the channel and like this video if you like this kind of thing. I'd appreciate it. All right, here we go. And apologies for the vertical format. I don't have a great setup here. So, all right. So right off the bat, that looked kind of like a sack dress. Yeah, this looks very much like sack dress to me, which is a classic Cristobal look. I missed the very first one, but it was along the same lines. That is similarly, though, I mean, Demna always did the really like high collar, like with the bombers on the 2017 show. So like I could see a little bit of that being Inspirato here. Same with that aggressive cropping. You know, the glasses, okay, that's very flowy like Pierpaolo. The glasses remind me of like something Demna would do, as do those gloves. The cape, again, very Pierpaolo. Those glasses are aggressively Demna, I'd say. So, interesting. Interesting. Huh. Right now, right off the bat, it's looking a little like a collage of like different things. Not to say it's necessarily clashing. I don't love that. You know, furry bottom dress. That's interesting. That's cool. The again, these shapes that he's showing, very sculptural, which is something that I think Cristobal Balenciaga was really good at doing. He made these very sculptural dresses, coats, the cocoon coat. That almost looks like a, I don't even want to say it, like a Rick Owens Tatlin coat. Okay, there's some more of that dress with the kind of feathery bottom. Again, with the cropping of the shirt. Cropped capes, Pierpaolo. Just kind of trying to soak it all in. It's a little hard when you're like watching them live. I prefer to stop them, but this is, like I said, live. So yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm not. I'm just not crazy about that look that he keeps repeating with the kind of feathering on the bottom. That looks like very classic, like Valentino Pierpaolo to me. And I apologize if my throat sounds a little weird. I'm just getting over something, but I got to bring you this content as we get it. That bag, I didn't get a great look at it, but it looked a little, man, I don't know why I don't like those furry, feathery dresses. Again, that's very Cristobal to me. The way they're kind of using the bags, that kind of slouchiness, like Demna's bags always had this like really beaten up look to it. So far, I'm not seeing anything streetwear, ironic fashion, I will say. That was obviously a huge hallmark of what Demna did. I'm really just seeing it mostly come through in the glasses. And obviously there's some boxiness to it there, but I think the sculptural shape is more, okay. Again, with the cropping. I like the aggressive shoulder pad. Even though, as I've mentioned, I'm getting a little tired of 80s. That's cool. I like that coat a lot. It's really, like, got that oversized cocoon-like shape. That hat looks a little goofy on there. I guess I'm feeling like it's a little, it's not boring, but like, I don't know. So far, I guess I would have hoped for something a little bit more of a handoff from Demna to Pierpaolo. I've discussed in the last video that I did that there's some agitation among the fan base of like, well, what am I going to buy now that Demna's gone over to Gucci and the language is changing a little bit? Is this our first? Oh, okay. I thought that was a men's look for a second, but I mean, it could be. I mean, it's a more masculine look. I do like the bomber jacket and the oversized kind of khakis there. Slacks, whatever. That's interesting. The dress. It's the patterning on it is a little more tight. This looks like a Loewe coat, almost with the way that leather's draping. Oh, interesting. It's one of those. No. I couldn't see her sleeve quite. It looked like one of the sleeves was longer than the other, but it's just very sack-like. Again, he's really playing into those classic house code looks. I do not like this. I shouldn't say I don't. Like, just because it's different, I shouldn't automatically right out the gate be like, I don't like it. I like the cinching on that leather jacket, though. That's cool. But the baseball caps, it feels a little goofy. I feel like he is trying to do a little bit of like an olive branch to the Demna fans of like, hey, I've got your big-ass weird glasses in there. You must like that, right? He's like, what do people like in streetwear? Caps, trucker hats, and baseball caps. So I'll put a big goofy one on them. It feels a little disjointed to me. The glasses I do think actually work with the more like classical looks that he's doing in the gowns and stuff, but it also doesn't. Again, that bag looks a little what we've come to expect from Balenciaga. It looks worn in. It looks like something you'd actually use on a day-to-day. It's not overly pretty or pristine. That's a cool dress. It's a very different look. It's actually like something interesting, which so far we've been very like. Honestly, the looks that I've liked the best have been the ones that have broken from the black and white and done more like that yellow coat that we saw. That's kind of cool too. I'd actually like to go back and get a closer look at it. Is that a city bag? A bussy bag? Busy bag? Yeah, I'm just not loving the featheriness. That actually reminds me of what like the Jonathan Anderson Dior pants and cargos that he's been doing. This is a more streetwear look again. Okay, that's cool how I am kind of liking those leathers. Again, they remind me of like the way they like really drapey leather coats that they've been doing. That one's very, again, it's probably playing into like the cocoon look, leather crop top thing. Cool accessories. Like, accessories have been really giant this season. And again, I've spoken on this. I think it's because people can't afford the regular stuff. Just that little bit of, I keep calling it feathering. That's probably not what it's called. The gloves also seem Demna-ish to me. Just like a little like fetishy almost. Again, there's that like flowery pattern. Little sequiny sparkly number right there. B-belt. Not a BB belt, just a regular B-belt. Leather tunic. Let's go. And giant bangles. Bracelets, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I mean, it's like, people have been saying, like, is he going to be, depending on what camp you're in, people are like, is he going to redeem Balenciaga? Or people are like, Balenciaga's ruined. Like, if you liked what Demna was doing, you're like, nah, this is the end. That's a big-ass, again, the gowns, like, that's what he's kind of known for. So, I kind of expected some of this. Man, I wonder if, like, this is the first thing we're going to see of a little bit of those, like, glasses, those kind of, like, intense like gloves, those sleeves, and then in next season it's just gonna be gone. Just because like, okay, that's a very Cristobal look right there. Is that like a tiara? That's wild. I do kind of like that. I don't know. Again, it's not boring. Well, a little bit maybe. Just coming off of what Demna did and making such like a shock, you know, like I saw there was some quote that was like, maybe Balenciaga can go back to being like beautiful and not just shocking or something like that. And I do think there's something to be said for, you know, I've commented before that I thought like Demna's work is kind of ugly. And I don't mean that as a pejorative. I mean, like, I like the ugliness. The Triple S is an ugly shoe, but I love it for its lumps. You know what I mean? There's a way to make ugly beautiful. So I'm not really seeing that so much in like Pierpaolo is a romantic fashion. I think I've heard people refer to it as that, and like bring back the romanticism to Balenciaga. I do think he's trying to do that here. These looks are much more elegant than what the house has been seeing before. It'll be interesting, you know, another thing that I feel as we look through these, I mean, that actually looks a little, God, I gotta stop referencing Rick all the time, but that looks like something I've seen in the more recent Rick with almost like membrane look, but a little more flowy than Rick would do. No men's looks, so it'll be a little interesting to see how that's going to come about because, again, this is that very Cristobal look. Not to say that Balenciaga only catered to men, obviously, but I think it had an outsized male audience to other like fashion houses, or what Demna did with it particularly spiked it among men. So it'll be interesting to see. I also think of Pierpaolo as like a women's designer more than a men's. Like what he did most recently with like Valentino was like, it was like soft masculine, like embracing the feminine side of masculine. So I don't know. Will he be able to still capture that that core audience? I'm you know, this is a women's show, so I don't know that that red glove look is very that looks like something like I could see coming out of a Demna look or Demna inspired look. Do I think he's throwing what Demna did in the trash? No. But I also don't think he's interested in exploring streetwear, irony. The only thing would be, again, those glasses and maybe the gloves and some of the I was gonna say accessories. You know, Pierpaolo's no stranger to like punk stuff. Like I think like the rock stud. Yeah, I don't know, man. The worst sin I think he could commit here was being boring, and I'm a little bit bored by it. I do think the leather jackets are really cool. I like those a lot. So I'm very interested to see what he'd do with like menswear in that way. We saw like, yeah, there it is, like one pair of jeans in this. The caps I don't like. I think they're goofy looking. For all I know, that'll be the showstopper this season. Everyone will be talking about the big tall caps. I mean, the reason why I stopped myself before from outright saying I didn't like them is that they are kind of different. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I haven't really seen that like tall baseball cap look. If it's a reference to something, I don't get it. But so in that way, it's cool to do unique things. I like things that are iconic. It's very hard to make things that are iconic. So will it be just a flash in the pan? Who knows? Like I could see that being like a hit with the girlies. But yeah, I was hoping that it would be a little bit more interesting. It's not boring. I'm looking at these and I'm like, these are interesting silhouettes. More play to Cristobal than I would have thought. Actually kind of interesting. Like Demna always interpreted those house codes in like a very avant-garde, warped way. Like he's like, I'm going to take a hoodie and make it look like the sack dress or whatever in a very like abstracted kind of, if you know, you know type way. This looks more directly referential, like that yellow coat again, as I've mentioned. Yeah. And I mean, I'm definitely getting the elegant with all the, like the more dresses, more gowns. You know, like I said, he's known as being more of like a couturier. So I can definitely see that peeking through here. But look, the problem with me doing like live takes on things and not getting like a little bit of a pulse of the community at large is that it makes it harder for me to make an extreme statement one way or the other. I guess if you were to say like, am I positive or negative? Man, because I just feel like I always end up somewhere in the middle, which kind of stinks. Nothing's black and white, right? There's pros and cons to everything. And I think the cons of this are that it's a little bit of a shock to the system of people who maybe had bought into what Balenciaga's been in recent years. There's definitely some cool looks in here. I think I would have liked to see a little bit more. I'm eating my own words. Because I think some of those like leather capes and leather like sack-like pieces did play to that idea of like ironic or more streetwear, or punk, avant-garde looks. Avant-garde's probably the best word. I don't really see anything streetwear in here other than those caps, which are a little goofy. There he is. There's the man. What kind of shoes are we wearing, buddy? They look like big old platform sneakers. So, man, he looks like he just came from vacation. He's got a nice tan on. He's having a great time. He's got a necklace that he bought from some dude on the beach. Man, those look like... are those 3XLs? Stop moving, Pierpaolo. They look like 3XLs or something. So if he's wearing that, that's a nice little nod to Demna. Yeah. So, cool. I'm going to put that down for now and just say I need time to marinate on it a little bit. Do I like it? I like parts of it. Like I said, the leathers are really cool. Some of the more like I actually didn't love the dresses so much, although the feathering on the bottom and stuff, it was not for me. I did like the more coats. I just saw Jill Sanders' show. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't like to be overly negative, but like I thought it kind of was boring. Like extremely boring actually. So it was not that. And I do like the glasses and the kind of trying to make things all come together. In a way, it actually felt a little disjointed. Like I said, that my initial reaction was like it looked kind of like a collage between a couple different things. So I don't know if it super holds together, and it's tough to say where it's going to go from here. What I commented on my last video was that before Demna, I actually have some, and not including Cristobal, but like Nicolas Ghesquiere, Alexander Wang, whatever. I actually have trouble kind of identifying what Balenciaga's like DNA was, and Demna's Balenciaga has a DNA, like hardcore. I don't know that this has a DNA yet. Will it develop one over time? Maybe. But I continue to be interested to see what he's going to do with menswear, because I think that's really where we're going to see a make or break for this. But looking at that, knowing what I do about the Balenciaga like fan base, there wasn't a t-shirt in the bunch. Where's my graphic tees at? You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying not to be like a business brained about this, but I do think it's probably, Kering wants someone who has obviously stewarded a brand before and knows what they're doing. I think this will win. I think this will win back some of the, like, I've always wondered for years, like, what is the like 60-plus-year-old woman who is like grown to love Balenciaga and spends a lot of money there, a rich lady. What are they buying Demna's Balenciaga? Like, that's incredibly weird to me to imagine. I assume some of them are, but I gotta imagine some of them just like pieced out when he showed up. I could see this winning back that type of customer a little bit, but has the demographic fundamentally shifted? Remains to be seen. I also think this is one more notch in the death of streetwear column. I think everyone's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Which is a little bit of a bummer. I mean, you'd like to think that these movements and cultural movements aren't just like flashes in the pan. So anyway, I am going to call it there. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, again, please do subscribe. Leave a comment. What did you guys think of the show? I'm interested in other people's takes. Again, this was live reactions. So let me know, and catch you in the next one. See you guys.